Namaste, namaste. It may not be so clear audio. They're getting the mic, so we'll use that one in a moment. But I didn't want to keep everyone waiting, so we'll get started. It's all right to start with. You want to sing? Avinash sings really well. Okay, we'll wait for the mic and then. सब ठोर जमात हमारी जमात हमारी सब ठोर पर मेरा हमें सब है हम हूँ बहुरिया अकेला मधु युगना हम ही सिद्ध समाधि हम हैं समाधि हम हैं हम मानी हम बोले हाँ बोले स्वरूप स्वरूप रूप दिखा के हम ही में हम तो खिले अवधू युगना युगना योगी योगी
कहे कबीरा जी सुनो भाई साधु, सुनो भाई साधु, नाही न कोई इच्छा, इच्छा, हाँ इच्छा सहज स्वेच्छा युगना 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 इतना कबहू कबहू शब्द अनाहत भोगी अवधू युगना युगना
Guru Kripa Kevalam. Namaste and welcome everyone to Satsang today. Sadguru Shri Muji Baba ki Jai. Let's go to Mahesh.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Very well.
It feels like I have not been present in Satsang for a while, and I've been feeling very much that I need to present to just step into your light, to see what shadows I am not recognizing. Yeah, there. I could say a lot more, but I'm more interested to hear you speak.
So I'm just going to mute everyone again, and you can unmute yourself immediately. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for starting us off with this question. One of the things I want to point to all of you more and more is that the amount of time we spend in self-concern, the amount of time that we spend in self-concern becomes inversely proportional to how much time we get to spend in love with God, in love for God, living in the presence of God. So it is very possible that in spirituality, especially in satsang like this, that we spend a lot of time in self-concern and how am I progressing, am I doing all right, rather than using that time to just be in love with God. And it is possible to love God with all of our heart. So, because this, at least we claim that this path is very direct, and because this path is so direct, it is in some sense natural for us to be able to say that if I'm not constantly living in God's light or in the apparency of myself, then what are the blind spots that are getting in my way, that are stopping me from doing that? But you have to be careful that that doesn't become a new project on which we spend a lot of time over. It is much easier to empty the lane for God, park our car on the side and keep the whole lane for God, rather than figure out what is stopping my driving skills from getting to God. So now, the funny thing about this is that even the attempt to empty ourselves can be taken by the checker guy to make it about self-concern. Am I empty enough? And that is why in satsang recently I've been making the battleground very, very clear. And although that has been my main pointing since I started sharing satsang a long time ago, but I feel like it is worth emphasizing that the only work we have to do is to remain empty this moment, and to remain empty of what? It is to remain empty of identification or belief in the mind. So in this way, then we keep the lane empty for God, and we allow God's will to unfold. Otherwise, our self-important, self-concern, and therefore self-will, including the desire for God Himself or the truth itself, can become just the obstacles which we end up fighting or encountering for a long, long time. So, really, the job is to be empty for God, moment to moment, and that is more than enough. Now, when that empty seems difficult, then we have presented so many different ways in which to return to that emptiness. So whether it is Guruji's invitation or Bhagwan's inquiry or the Atmadarshan Samadhi or just chanting or breathing or prayer or any of the methods that have been subscribed or prescribed by spiritual teachers over the centuries, the only attempt is to empty us of ourselves and in that moment to be dead to ourselves so that God's presence can shine through. So the way this game works, the way this play works, is that if the me is taking up space, you see, then it seems as if God's presence, God's light is dimmed in that moment. Because if we want to pose as if we are separate from God, then God lets us. Then God lets us. But the instant we are empty of that, we are empty of ourselves, then we give God's light the opportunity to shine through. So, as you started Satsang by saying that you've not been in this light of Satsang for a while, what is this light? This light is not by any means or by any stretch of the imagination Ananta's light or this body's light. It is just that there is an instrument available which allows God's light to shine through. And the idea of this light shining through is that it can shine through all of us. It can shine through all of us. So that is the death knell to all blind spots. That we are to be empty of self-importance, self-will, and self-concern. These things are built up only moment to moment with our belief in what the mind is telling us.
Perfect. Thank you.
In this moment, we can love God with full heart, wholeheartedly, full-heartedly. We love this holy presence, which is the light of this universe. Then there is no time for me. There is no room for me. But if we make time for me and we buy into what about me, then that is just the doorway to trouble. The fundamental building block or the fundamental basis for spirituality is the presence of a being which is higher than any human notion of itself. And yet it is astounding how many we can discover in spirituality who are deeply spiritual really, but have got a block against acceptance of the presence of this higher being. because of some conditioning or some bad spiritual experience or something like that. So to be spiritual without faith in God is a very, very difficult sort of way. It's like to be a breatharian without having faith in your nose. It's going to be very tough. So I would not recommend that way to anyone. The whole point of spirituality is spirit. See, the word itself is contained there. Now, is that spirit individual? It is the presence of a higher being. And that higher being is called the Atma. The presence of the higher being is called the Atma. So, to discover the spirit, to discover this Atma, is a prerequisite in the human condition. But unfortunately, in the play of Maya, we've forgotten that it is the prerequisite. To live in the light of presence is the only true way to live. And this is what has been forgotten through the tricks of Maya, through the tricks of the original sin, whichever culture, path, religion you may follow. This falling away from recognizing the fundamental principle of life, which is to live in God's light, has somehow been forgotten and neglected. So to come to Satsang is to come to the presence of God's light. To come to the presence of God's light. And you mentioned that right in the beginning of Satsang, and thank you for that. So there is no Satsang possible if it is not in God's light. And your life, moment to moment, spent in God's light becomes then a Satsang. And then you can partake in that Satsang, and those who are blessed by your presence also can organically partake in that Satsang. So, for years, for decades and centuries probably, this question has been asked. What makes a true teacher of God? A true teacher of God is one who is truly living in God's light, is spreading God's light. But if God's light is not predominant there, if God's light is not palpable there, then we may call that an academic teacher or philosophical teacher, but we cannot call that a satsang. Let's go to Jason. If the mic is the right. Namaste, my dear one.
Namaste, Father.
Hello. Thank you, Adrian, for pointing it out. We'll switch to the right mic. So, did you hear the bhajan at the beginning? You must not have heard it so well then. It was audible? Okay, so then somehow the mic changed along the way. All right. Okay, my dear.
Thank you. You already kind of answered my question, but anyway, I still have to ask because last time we spoke, you told me to, with all my might, hold on to the sense of the presence and find out what this presence is. So,
Yes.
Yeah, but and somehow I don't feel I'm doing it, at least not with all my might.
Yes.
But also so now I feel that I gave it to the mind, I give it to the person, like make it a job for the person to achieve something and then it gets mental. Yeah. So I want to ask you to maybe more clarify what it means practical life because you have a job and doing different things, and I cannot say that all the time I'm remembering God or searching for God. Don't know. Maybe you can say a little bit about this.
Yes, my dear. So my first tip for you is that we must keep it really simple. You see, we must keep it really simple, and it is very important to keep it simple, because if you keep it simple, then there are only two modes of operation. One mode of operation is living empty of our individual limited self, and therefore giving God's light a chance to shine through. Or we have forgotten and we've taken the me to be reality. These are the two modes in simplicity. But when we make it complicated, then we say, okay, now I was trying to be in God's light, but the person got in the way of trying to do that project, and then the person didn't let me do it. So first I have to get rid of the person, and then I have to try. You see, so it becomes more and more complicated. Then you say there was a person who was trying to get rid of the person who was stopping you from being in God's light, and it becomes a sort of recursive process, a recursive loop, and the mind has got us fully in its clutches. So, what has happened in the past has happened in the past. We can forget about it. Don't worry about it. Right now, remain empty of any limiting notion, and all notions actually are limiting. So, remain empty of all notions. As you remain empty of notions, you give the presence, the room, the road, the lane to shine through. Easy? It's actually quite easy, except the mind itself will come and say, but it's easy now, or I'm in satsang, so it's easier, but when I'm outside, it's much more difficult. And there will be times where you will forget. What to do about those times? Forget about them. You see? Don't do post-mortem analysis, all of that stuff with them. Just return to being empty. But fundamentally, this will only work if you don't want God for me. And if there's a relationship, seeming relationship, in that way, it is just so that I can be for God or me can be for God. But if it is going to be God for me so that I can be better, enlightened, free, painless, blissful, all of these considerations, then those will just get in the way. Do you want God more than anything else?
Yeah.
No matter what the cost.
I don't feel confident to say that, no matter what.
So it is worth contemplating then, because our mind comes into fear and creates a sort of boundary around our faith, and this then becomes the boundary of our experience of living in God's light. I was telling another child that day that a godless life is never worth it, no matter what we have to encounter to live a life of God. You see? You may collect everything that the world has to offer, and you may collect everything that a million universes have to offer. But if your life has been empty of God's light, then it's all worthless. You see? So what happens is the mind uses God as a tool to amplify the me in some way, which then can get in the way, and then we feel that the temptations from the mind seem too strong for us to let go of them, because they may even be spiritual temptations. They say you will become more spiritual if you think like this, if you pick up this belief system. You see, but the idea is not for you to become more spiritual, it is for you to get out of the way. You see? So set your heart on God and God alone, no matter what consequences, what experiences, what feelings, what things we have to go through in this life. You see? And must get rid of the sort of self-help idea of a life full of ease because of the presence of God. You see? Because the mind uses that itself. You see? It uses that itself. So don't expect it to be easy. Why do we want God?
Because it's our home, our heart, our self.
Yes. Because it is the very core of our existence. It is the very truth of our being. This is true. But it's also noticed that most in spirituality want God so that they can become something or in some way. You see? So the theme for today is this, that at least so far, that we must become empty of self-concern. Okay, let me ask a simpler question. We are checking on whether God's presence is here most of the time because that gives God's light an opportunity to shine in this world, or is there something in that for me? Why do we want to live in God's presence all the time? For God or for me? In servitude, okay, let's try to make it simpler. In servitude to God, or for God to be in servitude to our peace and our bliss and our joy and our freedom?
But it can't be for the ego, because then there's the ego is what makes God not palpable. The opposite of living in ego, to be in with God.
But the ego, the mind always finds a way to insert itself in the picture, you see, to insert itself in the picture. And one of the ways the ego inserts itself in spirituality is in the form of the spiritual ego. which is the spiritual achiever, the spiritual desirer, the spiritual renouncer, all the spiritual poses that we can take on, is the spiritual ego. So, best to be empty of all of this and make space, make room for the light to shine.
Sometimes when you say like serving, expression of serving God, I feel there comes a doubt that it's also like form of ego. You're still separate when you serve God. And is
Yes.
it still better to dissolve in God?
Yeah. Thanks. So we've looked at this question a few times over the last few weeks. So it's a very valid question to ask. So when I say that both are true, I am that absolute reality, the Nirguna Brahman, in which the light of Ishvara, the light of God, shines. It is completely true that I am the birthing ground even of consciousness. But it is also true that I am nothing but a tiny speck of dust at the toenail of God. Not even that. Foolish, silly, stupid beggar is an accurate representation of me as well. Now, both of these are at the opposite ends of the intellectual construct. You see? And in the intellect, both cannot be true. I cannot be the substratum and birthing ground for God Himself. And on the other hand, I'm saying silly, foolish, worthless beggar, not even worthy of uttering God's name. So, of course, simplest would be if we could accept that both can be true and that doesn't cause us any trouble. But since usually in the human condition we find that very tough and it becomes like a Zen koan and you start to meditate on it, maybe I can simplify it a bit. So those of us who've really studied spirituality, studied the lives of masters through the centuries, right from the beginning of when they started sharing, all of them have admitted that none of them have managed to be rid of the ego 100%. And if you can point out a sage who consistently said that 100% I'm free of ego, then I'd love to read that report. So let's not fall into any arrogant presumption that we are going to be, or I am going to be the first. I'm not most likely going to be the first. Now, this, although it may sound very simple, also becomes the biggest obstacle in spirituality, because the me that remains is very quick to take on the I am that position. You see? So the me that remains, which is actually the remnants or the remains, the ashes of the ego, that can take on the position of the I am that, I am the first, the nirguna reality. And when this limited, special, proud me takes on this position, then that can cause so much trouble, as most of us have seen in our lives, in our study of spirituality, of teachers, all of these things. We know well enough what kind of trouble that can cause. So then the question remains, what to do with this little tiny remnant of me, that the rest of it got burnt up in inquiry and in devotion, but the me that still remains, what to do with that? And the sages have made it very, very clear that what we need to do with that is to make it a servant of God, living in God's will no matter what. So if you look at all religions, every um, uh, pointing from a true sage, they have suggested servitude to us and to follow God's will no matter what. So this is a great antidote for any sort of spiritual ego, any sort of specialness, any sort of pride in the me that is bound to remain. And if you are going to be the first one to be 100% empty of all ego, then full blessings to you and full love to you. But then for you, this question would not be relevant as to, isn't it better to just dissolve rather than be in servitude? If servitude still has a poke, that means that there is some me still remaining there, and it is best to put that one head bowed down at the feet of the Master, at the feet of God, and that is the highest place for that one. So then, if this much is clear, then the next obvious question is, so then how do I live in God's will? How do I live in God's light? Now, to live in God's will, first is to be empty of the limited self. As we are empty of me, as Rahim ji and Kabir ji have told us, the lane is too narrow. If there is me, there cannot be God. And if there is God, there cannot be me. You see? So this is the same straight lane in Christianity as well. So empty of ourselves, what we've talked about so far in Satsang. Then if it is God's grace, it is not an entitlement. But then if it is God's grace, then God's presence can shine through in this life that we call my life. And actually the entire perceptual universe is that life. But for the moment it may seem like it is the life of this body-mind. You see, and that's all right. We don't have to rush. So the life of this body-mind then flows in the naturalness of God's light, where we are uninterrupted by the way of the head, and we live completely in the way of the heart. So that is the beginning of starting to follow God's will. Usually what happens is that once we get used to living empty of the false self, then you may also start to receive God's will in the form of instruction, in the form of pointing. Now that pointing or instruction may be for the mouth to utter it to others so they may also find God's light, or it may be instruction for you to follow in this life. And in all traditions and cultures, those who receive God's instructions with full faith and follow with all their might, they are called the highest. So in Hindus, we have a beautiful love and devotion for Hanuman. What was special about Hanuman was not his great strength or magical abilities, but his unwavering faith, his unwavering devotion to follow his Lord Ram's will no matter what. As absurd or as difficult as it may sound, he followed it always with all his might. And the same examples we have in all religions. We have we have the example of Abraham, who then, because of his unwavering faith in God's word, is the founder of all the Abrahamic religions. So Judaism, Christianity, and Islam basically derive from the Abrahamic tradition. So that is to follow God's will, and it's present in all religions. Guru Nanak Ji has told us that the highest and the only way, he said, that meditation will not help you, love will not help you, to be very smart in the head, siapa will not help you, all the tactics will not help you unless you are following the command of God, hukum rajai chalna. So in all traditions, all cultures, it is an important instruction for us to be able to follow the will of God. Okay? So again, in this, the mind will come and it will say, but what is to follow the will of God? Everything that happens anyway is God's will. So if I follow or don't follow, even that is God's will. You see? So in that simple sort of seeming Advaitic understanding, not true Advaitic understanding, but seeming Advaitic understanding, we are saying that all of these sages, all of these great ones, did not know what they're talking about, because I know that whatever happens, happens with God's will. So Nanak Ji didn't have to tell us that you must follow God's will come what may, because probably he didn't know. It's a new technological discovery, that we have discovered everything happened in God's will. In Nanak Ji's time, they didn't know 200 or 300 years back that, whatever, 400 years back, that everything happened in God's will. So please don't waste your time with this kind of mental stuff. Everything does happen in God's will, and yet we must follow God's will with all our might. And our mind cannot understand it because our mind is linear. So we think it has to be this way or that way. So already we've looked at two things which our mind cannot fathom, but you know in your heart that they are true. So, and the way to follow God's will, I have made that apparent. It is often seen that those who are truly longing for God in their heart, then go through a seemingly accelerated process of becoming rid of self-concern. And it can seem like for those, many challenges and tests are put in their path, and they start to wonder that, wasn't I better off before spirituality? Wasn't I better off? And another child, she told me, the other day, that question had a great impact in a good way here, because she said, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. Am I cut out? And she did not mean, I don't feel like she meant cut out for this path of spirituality, or whatever we can call this path. Advaita is the most usual way of referring to it. But she really felt like, or the question felt like what she's asking is, am I really cut out to live a life of God? Am I really cut out to live a life of God? And that's a very important question, because your mind will tempt you with this question, usually in the idea that it's too difficult. So then the question to ask is, okay, what is the alternative number 2? Suppose that you're not cut out to live a life of God because it is too difficult to be empty of me, empty of self-will, self-concern, and self-importance. Seems too difficult at times. So we're not cut out for a life of God. Then what is the alternative? So really the question to ask is whether spirituality and true spirituality is an imperative or is it an option? You see? So suppose that we are not cut out for God, and we say, okay, this God business is too difficult, so I'm going to lead a godless life. What would that life have to contain to make it worthwhile? This is worth
It's no
contemplating.
possible. No, there's no life apart from God that's worth anything.
So if this deeply sinks into us, then most of the mind's temptations will not have any power or force over us. Because the mind is always tempting us with alternatives which we don't realize are actually alternatives. You see? It'll say, no, just for today you focus on the relationship thing, for today you focus on this money thing, and for today you focus on this body thing. You see? Just for today. Of course God is, and because it knows your identity is spiritual, it will not say forever, it will just say for today. And every day will go like this. Every day goes like this. I have encountered death closely in close family a couple of times this year already, and both were what we would traditionally call very religious people. But they spend their life or a part of their life truly living a true life in God's light. It's very difficult to say yes. Therefore, I want to point out to all of us that it is not like something good or a nice to have for our life. It's a urgent, important imperative. And the battle really is for time. We don't see it because everyone feels like they have time. That is the misuse of the intuitive understanding of eternity. Is it? That is a misuse of our intuitive knowledge of eternity to apply it to this life in this way and say, no, I have time for God tomorrow. Today there are other important things. And by the way, God has never said that you cannot live in His light, and if you do live in His light, then your important things won't get done. In fact, the only thing that tells us whether something is good or important or useful or right or even ethical is whether the source of it was God's light or was it a human machination. You see, so all of the mind resistances are flawed and silly if you were to only look at them objectively. So it's really not an option for us to be able to ask and make a determination. Suppose we made a determination, no, I'm not cut out for it. You see? What would we do? It's like saying that I'm not cut out for breathing. I'm not cut out to drink water. So don't give in to all of this temptation from the mind. It will seem difficult at times. That's why I'm saying it's not going to be easy. Don't expect it to be easy. If it is the most difficult thing you will ever do, if it is the most painful thing you will ever do, but you get a glimpse of God's light for a moment, even that is worthwhile. Than to chase a path of least resistance and be in avoidance of the reality of the holy presence, the holy being within ourselves. How much will we run from this reality? So, because a simpler way to answer that question is that everybody is cut out for it. In our very design, we are cut out to live in God's light. Till we don't recognize, and this is in response to one of the questions on the chat, till we don't recognize that our mind is too inadequate for us to make judgments about good, bad, right, wrong. And the only way to determine what is good and what is right is whether it comes from God itself. And therefore we can never be at loggerheads with God's will. How do we put ourselves at loggerheads with God's will? Because we think we have the ability to determine what is right, and then we judge God and say God is not doing the right thing. You see, what gives us that ability to determine what is right? If God was not there, would you have a breath? Would that mind and intellect which we value so much with our judgments, could that be around? No, but we are using that which stands only on God's presence to judge God. Why would God do this to me? Because I know what is right for me. That is the very definition of self-concern and pride, actually. I know better. If the project is to be empty of me, to make room for God truly, the strongest anchor that anchors us in this lane and refuses to leave, refuses to make room for God, is pride. And how does pride function? With our righteousness, with our ideas that we know. I know what is better, I know what is worse. Not only can I judge my brothers and sisters, I will now judge God also. You don't realize what is the level of silliness in that. We may judge our brothers, sisters, we may judge our master, we may judge the whole spiritual life, we may judge everyone who has ever lived. But what gives us the ability and right to judge God, in whose light even one heartbeat we cannot do for ourselves? You see? So if you listen to anything at all, and don't listen to anything at all except this, don't put yourself one-on-one with God, that you now have the ability to judge Him. It's a huge mistake. Okay, let's go to Beatrice.
Namaste, Father. You said before about if why you want to be empty, if it is for God or if it is because you want to be happy or something. I feel that I have both, maybe. I don't know. I want to be empty because I suffer, and I want to be more myself.
So then, if you have both, then
Come
you
on.
if you have
So,
both, then you will be only half empty.
can you explain this?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, my dear. There's some background noise coming from your mic, so I'll just mute you for a moment. I'll answer your question now. So we say that the question is that I like the response. She says, when I really check, I see that half is so that this life can be in service to God's light. But there is also an expectation that there will be happiness, there will be peace, there will be some benefit, maybe I'll be free. I'm paraphrasing. So that really is provisional in the sense that I would say it's half-hearted, where it's not a bad start, but we can't settle for that. We must deepen in our love for God. We must deepen in our inquiry. We must deepen in our devotion, so that all this, the half which is full of self-concern and personal benefit to the non-existent one, that must dissolve more and more. So may God bless you, and may God give you the insight and strength to be able to let go of that half which is concerned about the limited self, the non-existent one.
Thank you, Father. I feel I feel also that when you said I'm the one who is the first who become fully empty of everything, and I
You want
feel
to become
like
the first.
I feel that I'm already. No, it's
You
not
feel
true.
you're already empty.
I feel like I have this nirguna reality that is already empty
The one,
of it,
yes.
but I have this ego's,
You're
and
so
I like
nirguna.
what?
You feel like you're so nirguna, no? So nirguna. I like this report because it's very honest.
I am so
Honest.
ego's.
That you feel like you have such a nirguna reality that it's more nirguna than anybody else's nirguna reality. Like you see on Zoom that everybody else's nirguna reality is not close to your nirguna reality. Your nirguna reality has some guna which is beyond everybody else's nirguna.
Yes. Nobody knows.
You have a very high qualitylessness. Huh?
Yes.
Thank you. And although we are all laughing about it, there is something to contemplate in that. Yeah? Because all of us can get stuck in a sort of notion that my realization of the absolute qualitylessness is beyond everybody else's.
Yes, Father. I O sea, I learn or I see somewhere that if I want enlightenment just for me, it's not going to work.
What about half for you?
What do you mean by half?
That's what you started with, no? That half I want God for God, but the other half I want God for me.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's like something strange, like mix, or because it's like I want to be empty because I don't want to be the ego because it's not myself. I want to become myself. So it's like a strangely,
It's just like the ego doesn't want to be any more ego. It wants to be the self.
yes, like that.
So how will we ever convert the non-existent one into the only existent one?
Listen.
So we cannot do that. It's not a transformative process. It's a transcendental process. You have to transcend it, not transform it.
Yes.
It's not a constructive process. It's a deconstructive process. It's not something that you can construct on top of the ego, put all the right things, and one day that ego will turn into Atma or God. No? It is to get rid of, to rid ourselves of this false one, so that God's light can shine through.
Yes. This thing of constructing I was doing before. Now I see that it's not like that. The more I see that I know the thoughts, I feel more natural and more loving and feel like more myself.
Yes, yes. That's good. So keep going like that. Be empty more and more of your thoughts. And
Yes, Father. Also, with my job, I have struggled because I don't know if it's my will, and I fight because I don't know. I see that it's not true, but I'm fighting because I don't want to leave God. I have to work, and I see that I can work empty, but this ego is like
Huh?
fighting.
Yeah, yeah. The trouble is again that we are expecting it to be easy. There will be a fight. The mind will fight it, and as long as we are used to identifying with any aspect of it, it will seem like there's a fight within ourselves. So fight for what is true, and may God win this fight.
But I don't, I mean, if it's difficult, I don't have more option. I mean, I see that it's not easy of a life. It's not so easy maybe sometimes, but I don't, I mean, if it's difficult, I have to do it. I cannot say like, I'm done with God, I have another option, because even if I'm in hell, I have to choose God, not because I have because I don't know. I don't have more option.
Yeah.
I don't want to be without God.
Yes. Good. That's good. That's very good.
So I can work, Father. I can do my job in peace,
No.
whatever. Because my job is not so spiritual, Father. Maybe
Okay.
I do jazz, I do music, some rock that is not like,
Oh, but jazz. You do jazz?
yes, Father.
Jazz
Yeah,
music?
I try to do songs that are happy, for the people. So I mean, for me, I serve God also like this. I try to do.
What
Maybe
little bit?
I
The little
play
bit I know about
one
jazz
hour.
music. One
Yes.
second.
Sorry.
The little bit I know about jazz music is that it gives you a lot of space. No, it's not so hardwired as classical or even pop or something that you can be moment to moment and allow it to unfold in jazz. No, is this not true?
Yes. Yes, Father. Even you can be enlightened. There
Then
is,
what?
yes, John Coltrane. He was a saxophonist.
Yes,
He
yes.
become enlightened after
I see.
a concert. He have a church in San Francisco.
I see.
I have a photo of him here.
I see. Love
Mm,
to read more
yes,
about. I'll be happy to read more. Did you say your job
this
is not
one.
spiritual?
This man. He was
Uh,
like this, This
ah,
one, so we become enlightened after a concert,
oh,
and after he do an album that is called, the name is I Love Supreme. Maybe it's because well, in the jazz you have to learn and then to forget everything.
very good. Very good. Jazz and Zen sounds very similar.
Yes, because there is so much knowledge that you cannot think.
So, what were you complaining about? No, it got frozen. No, is it all of us? No, just her. Okay, just we'll come back to her. Okay, let's go to Adrian.
Namaste, Father. Can you hear me well?
Yes. Yes.
Uh, just felt to share some things about that I feel help me to be more empty and uh, also it has to do a bit of confusion about inquiry because maybe I don't understand exactly what inquiry means.
Nah.
For example, I don't know if it's a form of inquiry, but I noticed it's good for me to just look at things, whether in the mind or in the perceptions, and
Yeah.
be open and empty. And just,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you mentioned those Korean Zen Buddhists who look at a wall and ask themselves, what is this? What is this?
Yes. Yeah.
So I also some something like that I do, and I look at maybe some strong beliefs that I have or projections or even objects in the room or and I'm just looking, just looking and seeing what they are made of, what, but not really concluding things.
Yeah,
It's just felt to share. Uh,
that's very good. That's very good. Usually, when we talk about the inquiry, we could be talking about it in this way that you're saying, but also we could be talking about it in the way of how Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharishi described self-inquiry, which is to try and find the root of the I. Who is the I? So how there's only a minor change that you would make or a minor addition that you would make to what you are already doing. So when you're just observing something, you would ask who is witnessing this, and you would not conclude it with your mind, but you would allow that question to just unfold whatever insight it has to unfold. So that's a simple way of describing inquiry.
yes. Yeah, I noticed sometimes when I tried to ask in the past to ask myself, who am I? Immediately, like this body mind comes up. But I realized that I have to ask myself, who witnesses even this body mind?
Exactly,
Not,
exactly,
not,
exactly.
yeah,
So when
yeah,
you ask yourself, who am I? Then some attention may go to some sensations strongly. So just check who is witnessing these sensations. Or if the mind comes up with an answer that awareness is witnessing, or the self is witnessing, or consciousness is perceiving, then ask yourself who witnesses that thought, which has the answer awareness is witnessing.
yeah, yeah. It's very, very good what you tell me. Thank you.
Right.
And maybe if I can also share something else,
Yes.
it's about judging others and humility, being humble. Maybe there's some confusion here because, for example, I give you an example. There are some people, I don't know if I can call them friends, but I know them very well and from childhood, and they many times they call me to spend time with them, party with them, and sometimes they encourage me to drink alcohol and stuff. So sometimes in the past I used to spend time with them because I didn't want to judge them or be I wanted to
Yeah.
be humble, but somehow God is guiding me to not do this, to spend more time by myself and inquire, and I feel somehow that this it's wasting time to do these things. So I don't want to judge them. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if this is judging them or not being humble.
It's fine. It's fine. Okay, let me help you a little bit with this. Although you're on the right track completely. So, uh, because you follow God in your heart, and they are busy with having fun and alcohol at parties and all of that, the mind will tempt you with some thoughts about how you are better than them. You see? So don't buy into those thoughts. Let them come and go. And to not believe any of that specialness or that I am better, that is to remain humble. But to follow God's will is not a judgment against them. It is what you're following, what is right for you in your heart. But that doesn't make you into somebody special or something better, because then that can become the spiritual ego.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Very welcome. Very welcome. Okay, let's go to the last one. Divan. How do you pronounce it, my dear? Divan or Devon, or how do
Divan,
you? Divan. Okay, very good.
thank you so much, Master.
Yeah.
Um, I'm really shy, so please forgive me.
Same, same, same. So feel free.
I've been following you for about 6 months now, but on YouTube, usually on YouTube, and somehow I feel like by grace I was able to meet you. And before meeting you, I was with Papa Moji, and I used to listen to him a lot because a lot of things just changed. I wasn't understanding what was going on, but it's like there's just so much love for you because of like the way in which you like relate, like the introspection with God and everything. It's just so like it's just amazing, and it helped me a lot to like see like like spiritual ego as well as the specialness and the little arrogance I was playing, and I saw because that sort of like inhibit the growth, like the little growth that was taking place here, and I feel like that was like the worst disease, and through your plantings and the way in which like the simplicity as well as the earnestness. It's just I'm just so grateful, and my mind, like the mind was saying, the day I meet him physically, then I'm going to thank him. But I was like, no, I need to just because I listened to like the satsang, I believe the previous satsang where you said, "Wait, what if there's no tomorrow?" And I just felt like I need to just come, and even if I'm shaking or whatever, but just say from my heart, just thank you so much for your pointing and to always push like the buttons of our human nature where we can like, you know, try to like protect or to hide away from God's light. Is Thank you so much, Master. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so deeply touched by your report, and
Thank you.
I can tell that the words are coming from your heart, and especially if you feel like you're nervous before the camera or something like this, but to still take the courage and to come up and to share this report so much from the heart and so beautifully. I'm very touched. I'm very touched by it. Thank you.
Thank you, Master. You're always in my heart. Thank you so much.
All my love, all my blessings. So happy, so happy. All is my Master's grace. All is my Master's grace. Thank you. Very good. Now more hands came up. Let's hear Karunamai.
Hello, Father.
Hello, my love.
We have two hands here. I raise my hand because for the past weeks, I feel I dropped in my sadhana and in my attention being turned inwardly, and I need a lot of grace to come back. All right. I don't know. Thank you.
You say that you feel that in the past few weeks you've not been so committed to your sadhana, and you feel like you've taken a different trajectory, and now you're requesting God's grace to bring you back to the right orbit in some way.
Yeah.
So, full blessings are for that. Yes. So those moments where you got tempted by the mind and went on the wrong trajectory, let those be good lessons for us. And when they tempt you with the same things again, then may you have the strength not to follow. That is my blessing to you. And may God's grace, may Guruji's grace bless you so that you continuously deepen in God's love in your heart.
And I also attracted, I think, some entities which are playing in my fields.
You attracted entities.
Mm.
So let them get the darshan of God in your heart. Don't make any other project out of it. But anyone who comes into your presence, whatever we may consider them to be, let them be blessed by God's light in your heart. And there's no need to fear any of this stuff. Nothing in the world is stronger than God's light in our heart.
I actually felt once that if I pray for it or whatever it is, it did bring peace in my heart in a way. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like I answered.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Colleen wants to speak as well, I think.
Yeah.
You want, I don't know. You say something. He said he wanted to say hello, and
Hello, my
he
dear.
he was. Do you have anything that you want to ask help for?
I've been a bit away from satsang recently. I don't really feel like I want to go, and I have a lot of resistances. Could I have a blessing, please, and some help?
Is Mama saying or you're saying?
Both of it.
Yes, I was observing that he's skipping satsang, and
I should get you to talk to my kids.
sorry, say that again.
I should get you to talk to my kids as well.
I have
all satsang 12 years.
I have spare bedroom in Portugal.
Yeah, I'm sending them. right now. Yeah. DJ Satsang, full blessing is there that may you be drawn to God's light in your heart whenever the time is ready for you. Because I also noticed that with kids, what can happen is that if we push you at this age, then maybe when you have the time to do whatever you want, then you may not naturally, you may have some expression of rebellion against what you were sort of compelled to do when you were younger. So may it not become a compulsion, but may you, whenever the time is right, whenever you feel guided in your heart, may you come deeply into the truth of your reality. And I remember some of our conversations very well, and you have a beautiful foundation already in place for this spiritual unfolding to happen. So may grace and Guruji's grace bless you, that it unfolds in the most perfect way for you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Ananta-ji. Thank you.
Let's go to Gustavo. Namaste. Are you saying something? Because your audio is not coming through. I was wondering if you're in silence. Let me try again. Still don't hear you. Check on the settings for your mic and audio. Maybe we'll come back to you in a moment after we speak to Chanda. Looks like it's time to come to Bangalore. Huh? Mom's also coming or no? Right. Okay. Something happened or what's? And see, the next one is already getting ready. Oh.
We're coming on Tuesday, Father.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
It's my birthday. I wanted your blessing. So Mom and I are both.
Very good. Very good.
It's been a long time.
Yes. Come home soon. Come home soon. Sometimes the world can seem very compelling and it says, no, it's important to do other stuff and things. But, were you there in the satsang the other day where I was saying that usually in God's way there is nudge, and then it comes to push. So when we learn to recognize the nudges, then usually there's no need for the push to come. Very good. Okay, let's try Gustavo again. We don't hear anything. No. Okay, we try next time. Let's go to Samia.
Hello, Father. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay,
I saw
I
already
check.
that the tissues were already out, and I saw yes. She has clearly decided this time that she will not follow my smile and smile along with me.
Yes, I decided.
It really helps, to be a spiritual teacher. To have been a biological father is really helpful. I recognize so much of this in my biological children also. So I think
Because you don't do this with everyone.
yes, I feel like it's different with everyone. It's different.
Yeah. Like sometimes I'm feel like I'm not so much not given importance, but yeah, it feels like this sometimes when you do this, like
You start laughing instead of being very serious satsang about it. What is the nature of reality, my child?
no, you don't speak with like this with them anyway.
I don't, there's not enough gravitas in this conversation.
Müsait değilim şu anda. Sorry, Father, someone interrupted.
Okay,
I didn't hear what
you pick one of them, like who you like the way I speak with, I'll speak with you like that.
no, I'm I can't lie. No, it's not. I feel like you give more importance to some than others.
Everyone feels
And
that. Everyone. See everyone laughing because all of them feel that. Who are the one or two not laughing? They're getting all the importance. But this moment, all my attention is with you. So what do you have to ask or present?
I'm not good at speaking, Father.
Have to be. You don't have to be good. You don't have to be good at speaking. Either to live in God's light or to shine in God's light and bring others to God's light. You don't have to be good at speaking. So, in fact, when Divan said earlier that he's very shy, I felt like this expression has been shy all his life. I would rather sit in a room and read a book rather than come in front of people and talk. So, but what happens is that when God decides to use you as an instrument, then it doesn't matter how good we are at speaking or bad we are at speaking. All those things are irrelevant.
No, like yes, what you said is of course true, and I know that also is true, but it, my crying is not about this, not about God's light or being used in that way, but
What is the more important topic? Okay, something is coming up to ask you. while you wait for what you want to say. In the daytime, no? How many stars do you see in the sky?
I
Don't see.
don't.
Don't see, no stars. Why don't we see them? Have they vanished? Have they gone away?
I don't know. No. No. What we are taught is no. They are there.
Yes, they are there. Yes, we are taught. You're right. That there's we have to go with that inductive sort of reasoning. They are there, but the sun's light is too strong, so we don't notice them, isn't it? So it is the same thing between the ego and God. Between the ego and God. If God's light is shining, then how can we see the me, what is happening to me? Is it possible at all? I feel that we find a way to shadow that through our belief in our mind, and then these starry conditions of the individual come into focus.
I can't say like individual come into focus or something, but sometimes things happen and life not always so easy.
Yes, but that's saying that these stars, they move from place to place, and if you look at the stars, they have patterns, and we can decipher the patterns, and one part is Aquarius and one part is Pisces and one part is all of this we can read in our life, and it always doesn't seem so easy. But the fact is that, is the sun shining or not? And if the sun is shining, then what else can get our focus and time and attention?
But maybe the place where always catching me, why this life always have to be like this. Like, yes, with God's light all is good, but even with God's light, my life is not, doesn't seem nice.
Oh,
It's not
okay,
true.
so
Okay.
in God's light, in God's light, is there my light? In God's light, what is my life?
Father, I'm the one who get hardened. I don't know if this is the word. Like,
Yes?
not even challenged. Challenge is not a right word, and tiredness is not a right word. Like, I don't know. Sorry.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let me see if we can. Did we have this conversation last time where I was saying that?
Yes, similar.
Where I was
Sorry.
saying,
No. Tell me.
I was saying that you don't take what I have to give you, okay? You don't take it. So I'm giving you a gift. Suppose it's not me. Huh? Suppose it's not me. Somebody who you're meeting in your life. They're giving you something. Don't take it. Can they give it to you? Unless
Yes.
you take it. They can't. I had a feeling she's going to do that. You see? If you're living in God's light, Unless you accept the seeming gift, actually the trouble in the form of a seeming gift, what can shake you?
Sorry, I just wanna check for one word.
Ah,
I want to speak something out, but I need to look for
yeah,
a word.
it's going to be a strong one. Uh, what is the Turkish?
In Turkish,
Yeah,
zorlanmak.
Zola?
Zorlanmak. The word what?
Zolanmak. Zolamak. Zolamak.
Sorry,
Use my,
Father.
use my yogic powers and siddhis to. She wants to laugh so much. And she's like, today she's determined that.
No, I just want to cry.
Zolamak. Sound like very mucky.
It's okay, Father.
Okay, so I'm going to say a few things. Maybe you don't want to necessarily follow at this point, but maybe later something will make you follow. You know, in all of this, and we've been through this cycle a few times, what happens is that that very time which we could spend in loving God, in serving God, in just shining in God's presence, it just gets pushed to tomorrow, to tomorrow, to tomorrow.
Father, may you please say it again? I could not give my attention.
Yes, I'm saying that in all of this, what is getting neglected is the opportunity to love God fully in this moment.
Yeah, like what Karunamayi told you also happened to me actually. I went for a work and I could not, like, it was hard, and yeah, somehow I lost this connection with God. And after that, like when I lost my connection with God, then nothing really helps, you know. But if I have this connection, then I can accept everything, I can bear everything, and it's not even bearing, everything flows. But when this connection is not there, like even
Yeah,
though nothing is happening, is nothing at all, because like, yeah.
I'm very familiar with this. So this is clear. So right now, can you not make the connection? I completely agree that to live a life disconnected from God can seem like a living hell. Completely agree. But I also know that if you, with all your heart, turn to God, God is not going to turn away from you.
but it's not so true. Like when
But
I come to you,
wait. So I said, if you with all your might and all your heart turn to God, so do it and show me, and let me see God not turning back.
but on
See, you don't do it.
mm,
You know it's going to work. That's why you don't. So that is the mind trick, isn't it? You know it's going to work, but something
no,
gets
I
attached to the disconnection. You see, something starts enjoying the disconnection, although it is not truly you. But my job is to turn you back.
no, I don't enjoy.
Then why don't you turn? You see? Sometimes even our sadness or our grief can seem like a very comfortable hell, and the mind's whole job is to try and make this, oh, I've been saying, a palatable hell. You know, tell me if this is not true. You know, right now, if you turn to God, all this is over. You know this. I know that you know.
Yeah, I know. It's like then I need to again have to leave my expectations, which is challenges me, which makes me a little bit sad. That's why actually, yeah.
This is you. Okay, try to see along with me that what your mind is telling you is that yes, if you turn to God, then you can live in God's light, everything will be fine. But for that, you have to leave your expectations. But what is the point of your life if you have to leave your expectations? Your life should fulfill your expectations and not leave them. This, my child, either you can discover for yourself by going through this a million times, or you can take my word for it now. This attempt to fulfill your expectations is nothing but trying to make hell palatable or hell comfortable.
Okay, now I realize. Yeah. Okay, I can pray for that. I can pray for help to God, and maybe He will grant or not. It's up to Him. I can just pray, but I cannot be on this loop.
Very good, very good. So, my full support and blessings are with you right now. Turn to Him with all your heart, feel like a child, and tell Him He doesn't hold you. Tell me if He's not there.
I will. No, before that, I just want to ask for help.
This is the
He
only help
knows.
I can give.
No, like,
Okay,
but like, I'm some kind of need and challenge, and he knows what it is. So I just want to ask for help for this.
yes, yes. Once you're living in His house, then He will help you with everything.
No, he didn't.
Well, when you live in your father's house, the father doesn't buy you every toy you want, but he knows what is the best toy for you, isn't it?
No, he did, father.
He did, he did.
Okay, now I can come.
Very good. It is already done, you see, it is already done. The instant you change your mind and you say, I want to come to God and drop my ideas, most of you can recognize it is already done. Remember always that your mind's highest ideas cannot come close to one moment of God's presence. So if you ever, as if the mind is putting them in a weighing scale, saying my expectations are more important than God's presence,
No,
that's just a
not
mind.
expectations, or I know what you are saying is true, but really sometimes it's not really anyway. Sometimes I just feel so challenged and I feel like no help is coming. Just this feeling.
You have to make a report to me sometime. If you say, I turned wholeheartedly with all my might to God and God did not come. You want God's help or you want God?
Thank you for asking this. Sometimes I feel like, yeah, it's of course I want God. I can say this, but the challenges and all the things which comes with this, I don't want them. I can't bear them, even the idea of them. That's why actually to be with God is the most beautiful. Even just it's everything, but what this body or this life can go through with this even the idea of it I cannot bear, and this is where I'm so much entangled. So it's like I don't feel the strength or even urge to like, no, whatever it is, no, God, I cannot find this strength within me to say this, even though of course everyone wants God. It's just so obvious, and it's just so obvious for me, but yet, as I said, and I cannot even pray to give me strength because this is just so strong. So yeah, like you said, self-concern is still, I don't know if it's a self-concern, but it's still, it was alive.
May you be blessed by God's light and His constant presence. There is no higher blessing I can give you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's go to Sharat.
Namaste, Master. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everything.
So welcome. Very good. Very good. All my love, all my blessings. Okay, let's go back to Divan.
Hi, Master. So I just realized that there was so much that I was here to say, but I didn't say it. So I was really nervous, like speaking to you the first time and everything. I just wanted to share, like, I felt to share with you because, like, last year, which was like, so I finished college. So I was supposed to go to university this, like, last year, but somehow God made me to, like, take a year out, not just to somehow crazy enough to focus on Him. And so when I found of emoji, of course, like there was so much resistance because of like conditioning and everything. But the way the words he was speaking, like it was just hitting some like space. I felt like spaciousness in his words, even without understanding what he was actually speaking about. And but because he was using like the word this self, so I something wasn't in full acceptance of the fact that this is actually God, and he's speaking about like the supreme. So although I was having like this very beautiful insights and um but it was still it felt separate because I was like praying to Jesus and because I grew from a Christian background and everything. But but when I met you like 6 months ago, the first video I watched, I remember it was like, is it God for me or me for God? And when I watched that video, I felt so like touched by because I could see like it exposed a lot of initially I was in like deep resistance because he was like, what's he saying? Because it was more of like a personal the discovery which I was making, like the spaciousness and everything. It was very personal. But through um like listening to you and I felt so moved by it and I went to like all the videos that immediately I saw the word God, I just clicked it because I needed to like just to really emphasize that this is like this is God and through that it brought a lot of humility as well as also just seeing that because there was also like a sense of specialness and arrogance and being like, you know, although I was still grateful to God for this, but I was like separating, like the idea I had about God and this. And that was preventing me from also like with the introspection going deeper and seeing like can perceive how we perceived and all of that. And it really like removed the block of like because I was approaching the introspection from a very personal viewpoint and with like the identification of this body and everything, of just being like an entity. So just when I watch these videos on the introspection, the way in which it changed like the lens through which I was introspecting through because it was just like space introspecting in space. I don't know if I can explain it well, for you to understand, but it was like it just really showed me and just know that this is God, and this is like, and I remember when I was a child growing up like in church, I used to ask myself, but where's God, Like they're speaking all these things about God and but when like by watching your videos and seeing how you are able to like just remove like the concept about God and actually showing that it's like a living presence that is always here and I don't think there's any greater gift than this. And to know that our true nature is just eternal and it's just so pure and to just live and to honor this truth and also to be honest, sometimes even after this, like some doubts do come and as well as some fears and sort of like the perception of the world and everything and like family and conditioning and all of these sort of things. But still like the in here is just some type of rooted recognition that this is true and this is the only stable place to be and I don't know, I'm just so grateful and I'll really be grateful one day if I can come to you and just say thank you because thank you so much. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank
So,
God for
so
you as well. Thank God.
thank you, thank you, thank you. I have to say that I'm so deeply touched by this report that I'm actually holding back my tears because this is just proof of God's grace. Just proof of God's grace that someone and we are speaking like this for the first time, but someone's been hearing the words that God has put into this mouth and they're moving away from the conceptual idea of God into the living being which they're discovering for themselves, the living presence of God. This is what this servant is here for. This is what this beggar wants to do. So I'm very touched that God's grace is revealing itself to you so beautifully. And may you continue in this humility, this love. Thank you. I'm so happy to hear you today. I'm very, very happy.
I'm very happy as well. I'm really grateful to you because just so happy. Thank you
Very
so
good.
much.
Very good. Bless you. Bless you, my child. All my love. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let's go to Laurie.
Hello, Father.
Oh, my
Can you
love.
hear me? I just wanted to come
Yes, my child.
just to see what happens. Because it's been a while since we talked.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I miss you. Although I know that you are in my heart, you are always with me. But sometimes I feel like I miss you. I miss to talk with you. And I'm having a lot of conversations with you. I don't know if in my mind, in my heart, I don't know, but I'm talking with you. So sometimes I say, like, I have to talk in this, like, not only in my mind or in my heart, but like, in this way.
So sweet. Yes, you can always speak to me in that way. And that one is your own heart, your own Sadguru presence, of which this man who's in front of you is just an instrument. So the true Guru is always in your heart, and that is why he's never at any distance from you. And you, in this case, you don't even have to worry whether you're using your mind, you're using your heart. Just with this innocence, continue to deepen your relationship with the holy presence within. And it is the same one that is my master as well. So I'm very, very touched by your report as well. What has been the topic of conversation? Remind me.
What? Sorry?
What has been the topic of our conversation?
A lot, lots of topics. I've been giving you my report about the prayer,
Atmadarshan Samadhi. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, because like 1 month or 3 months before you gave us this instruction, I was feeling like my path was something more devotional than this inquiring, because this inquiring sometimes is very difficult to me. But when I pray and I just give everything to God, it doesn't matter who I am, who is this question or whatever. I feel more peace, or I feel like this emptiness. And then you came with this practice. So because I was feeling like, oh no, I have to leave. I don't know. I have to leave this inquiry thing because my path is devotion and prayer, and I have like this problem inside. But then you came with this, and that was like a relief to me. And I was practicing this. At first, I felt a deep connection, but now I'm feeling like I'm doing this like automatically. Just sometimes I don't feel it, but I'm still doing that every morning. I wake up and is the very first thing I do is this prayer. And sometimes I just don't feel it. I feel like I'm just saying words but I don't care. I'm still doing that. And other conversation is that I wanted to show you or just talk to you about the thing that I'm doing with my daughter, and is we are having experiences with ayahuasca. Jahe, I don't know if you know this. I had these experiences a long years ago, like I don't know, 17 years ago or something like that. And I think my first spiritual awakening was through this ayahuasca. But then I just quit that. And now we are having a lot of, you know, that last year was very difficult to me and my daughter. So we started with this again. And I'm always there with you. I put your photos there, flowers, candles to you, because I'm going to a place where they are very open to this. And they have no problem with that. And I just wanted to report that I'm doing this. I don't know what's your opinion about that. I know that I just feel that it is just an instrument which gives me like experiences where I can confirm that God exists, because it's just that way, and somehow just to heal, I don't know, heal my body, heal my whatever I have to heal. I don't know what, but I'm always like thinking about you and Muji, and I don't want this to be like something in contradiction with you. And that's the other conversation I'm having with you in my heart these months.
So what am I telling you in your heart?
That if I'm having God, if I'm looking for God, that's okay. And if I clear with this is not the path or the only the I don't know how to say that in English, but that if this is just thing that is helping me to know God, that it's okay. If this is from my heart, it's okay. And if it's in sometimes I feel that is a problematic thing, I have to stop it. But by now it's been good. I'm feeling good with that, and it's been very helpful for my daughter. It's been she has been in a transformation, and because she was athe- I think atea. I don't know how to say in English.
Atheist?
Atheist, yes. But after that, she knows God exists. She knows He's with us, and she's healing a lot of things that she has been through, very hard things, and now she loves go there and talk with God, talk to God, and so I have no problem with that. So I hope you don't have problem with that.
Thank you for your report. I'm very touched by it as well. So I know to some extent, to a large extent, that you've been through a very tough time over the last couple of years, and your daughter as well. So, and clearly in listening to you and hearing you today, you are better. Your whole demeanor is better. Your connection to God is very palpable and much deeper than I've seen in the past. So I'm very happy to see that. As far as the usage of ayahuasca or any other substances are concerned, I have no direct experience of it, so I'm not able to directly say it. But my wish for you is that as you go along, may your love for God and may His presence deepen so much that you don't need any device, any process, anything to bring you to His light and bring you to His presence. And may that happen more and more every day, deepen more and more in that light. And may no substance ever become something that you can't live without, or uh, any sort of crutches that you need. May you, in just sheer humility, love, and simplicity, find His presence so deeply there that may you wonder soon why you ever needed anything at all in the first place, that His presence is so strong. May God's grace make all of this possible for you, so, and your daughter fully, both of you and your sister as well, that may you shine so much in God's light, that may God's presence bring His light to all those who come in contact with you as well. May this spread far and wide. May His grace bless you so deeply. But I'm happy to see you here, and that you're doing so much better today. Very, very happy.
I love you so much, brother. I love you.
Very
We love you so much. The only thing that we want is living God's life. We are tired of this world. We are tired of suffering. We are so tired. We love you.
We love you, and may you find a place at His feet where you're not tired anymore, and may your elevation bring that light to so many others as well. All my love, all my blessings. Love you, my child. Thank you. Shall we put some bhajan on? Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Muji Baba ki Guru Kripa Kevalam.